Thousands and thousands of farmers, truckers, and other hard-working citizens took to the streets of Berlin today to remind their government and the globalists of one simple thing. Quote, "We are the people and we are taking back control. This is just the beginning. This is in Germany." Impressive. This is basically it looks similar to the Canada trucker protest, but in Germany now. Yes, truckers are back, exactly. So this is currently Germany. I think is this Berlin? Did they say so? Yes, this is Berlin, which, in case you didn't know, is their capital city. For the Americans out there, I know that you have like 3 Berlins in the US, but this is Berlin in Germany, the original one. Hopefully you can have an uprising without going too far. Indeed, Kieran, indeed. Like, at least this time, the people, from what I've seen, appear to almost universally be asking for smaller government, more freedom, and more self-determination, which are all things that are in spite of authoritarianism. Which, by the way, in the early 20th century, in the early 1900s, and the mid, was sort of a new idea that a lot of people thought might work, might be the new model. Authoritarianism hadn't been tried that much by that time, at least of the sort of 20th century variant, where things had transitioned a bit from all forms of government to this new thing called ideology. Everyone was trying out these new authoritarian ideas, so they were all kind of novel. These days, I don't think that thing is likely to happen in the West ever again, unless we let it. It could go horribly wrong, but the people are never going to ask for it, I don't think. Again, unless the people that aren't asking for it are systematically removed. But they haven't been here, not yet anyway. These people are asking for the opposite, I think. Now, I don't want to speak for them, obviously, because it is Germany, you know. I'd hate to expect that they are interested in reducing the size of government, because that doesn't seem to have been their historical tendency. But these movements, these right-wing populist movements I've seen around the world, have had at least that much in common, usually. Patricius von Kempen, who sounds like he should know what he's talking about when it comes to Germany, says Berlin is a net negative on Germany. Many people would say the same thing about London for the UK. It is still representative, though. He says, well, this is why lower classes should not be allowed an equal vote. He says that they always vote for Gibbs in every age. Not true. There are certain sectors who will vote for that, but it's not usually the majority of the votes for that. And if it was that simple, if it was as simple as the people will just vote to give themselves more money, republics would never have worked at all for any amount of time in the first place, because they would have just done that right from the beginning. It's not just that representatives protect people from doing that. It's not just that Supreme Courts protect against people doing that. People don't want to do that, except for a minority in most cases. And when I say minority, you can interpret that any way you want, chat, when it comes to Gibbs. But people don't tend to do that. They have other priorities. And this is part of the reason why universal suffrage is a good idea, because people don't just vote for pure and unabashed self-interest. They have a highly evolved sense of what's right and what is useful and what they think should be done, which is aside from mere direct self-interest. Now, if we're talking about psychopaths, they may in fact vote for direct self-interest, but they're a tiny minority of the population. 1%, maybe 2 or 3% at most. The majority of people are either normies who vote based on what they emotionally feel is right, which is flawed, but also gradual, which is safe, and intellectuals, who are, again, a small minority of the population and can often be very wrong, but they are reasoning based on generally good things, which can be manipulated, as they have been today, like compassion, but generally things that produce good results in terms of coming up with new ideas. Obviously, again, to clarify, with exceptions where today they have been engineered to produce almost exclusively bad results, which is part of the reason our countries are in such a dire situation, because our intellectuals have essentially betrayed the rest of us. But generally, they are a positive.